Our fundamental aim is to make sure that we keep our students safe, keep our educators safe, and to allow our parents to have the peace of mind. Although thus far we have no conclusive evidence of school-based transmission, we must never be complacent.
Good evening, I'm Haryanto Diman coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. With the sharp spike of linked and unlinked cases in the community and to avoid the risk of large clusters, the Education Ministry is stepping up measures to safeguard the well-being of students and school staff. From this Wednesday, May 19th, all primary, secondary, junior college and Millennia Institute students will shift to full home-based learning. This includes those from special education schools. New Education Minister Chan Chun Sing said this arrangement will be in place until the end of the school term on May 28th.
Now we understand, of course, this shift may cause anxiety in some parents, but we want to assure all parents and students that MOE will continue to extend our help and our fullest support to the schools, the teachers and the parents who require additional help to make these adjustments. And we will also want to put in place measures to continue to minimize the disruptions to the learning of our students. But of course, we understand there are many parents who are essential workers who will need to continue to work at their places of work, and therefore they will require services in the schools and in the childcare centers to help them during this period. And we will make all effort to help our parents and families who require such services.
Mr. Chan also explained why this move is only starting on Wednesday and not from tomorrow.
Now, remember yesterday, for those schools with confirmed cases, we have already swung into action and they will start their home-based learning from Monday. For the rest of the schools, they will typically take about 1 to 2 days to get their materials ready for them to brief the students and also the parents. At the same time, we are also cognizant from the feedback of the many parents who have contacted us that they will also need to make some adjustments to their plans. For example, putting in place alternative childcare arrangements for their children. So we are doing this as soon as possible, which is why we're starting on Wednesday.
Mr. Chan then revealed why the ministry decided against bringing forward the June school holidays, something that was done last year. Going to full HBL this time would avoid an overloaded term 3.
We wanted to bring down the level of activity outside the home to as much as possible because of the sharp increase in the number of community cases. And the feedback given to us from the parents, from the professional educators is that to the extent possible, they would also like their children to have some ways that they can continue to engage them meaningfully in the homes for the next 2 weeks. So the home-based learning allows us to achieve part of that objective. The second reason that some of the professional educators and the schools have given us is that they are towards the tail end of the term already. They will just need a couple of days to wrap up this rather than to carry forward to the term 3. Now, because bearing in mind we are never sure what exactly will unfold in term 3. And from last year's experience, we can see that if we load everything onto term 3, then it can also be a very stressful period for the people, for the students, the parents, and the schools in term 3. So on balance, taking into account both the professional feedback and the feedback from the parents, we thought that it is meaningful for us to move to home-based learning for the remaining 8 schooling days. In fact, it's 7 because of our public holidays, until the end of the term there. And the schools are well oiled in swinging into gear for this kind of operations because last year we have already put in place the necessary processes and measures for us to be able to switch to a home-based learning quickly.
During the June holidays, schools will allow graduating cohorts to come back in small groups when necessary. The mid-year O and A-level mother tongue language exams will proceed as planned, with strict safe management measures in place. Meanwhile, preschools and student care centres will remain open from Wednesday. But as work from home is the default mode right now, parents are encouraged to keep their children at home during this period where possible. The task force also said that all centre-based tuition and enrichment classes should move activities online. Meanwhile, institutes of higher learning will reduce on-campus attendance with more classes going online where possible. But essential in-person sessions like labs, practicals and final year projects will continue. Now, these measures will hold until June 13th or till further notice. Meanwhile, the Education and Health Ministries are working closely on plans to vaccinate children between 12 and 15 years old. Pfizer is seeking approval to allow shots to be administered for this group. It has been doing additional trials with some countries already given the green light. Mr. Ong also gave an update on the next phase of vaccinations for the wider population, saying that the government is studying the possibility of spacing out the time between 2 doses. This so that more people can receive the first dose.
Maybe for phase 2, we should try our best to give as many people as possible a good level of protection against COVID-19. That means give as many people as possible 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccination without reducing the effectiveness. And there has been many international studies, and it shows that even with 1 dose, it confers good protection without compromising efficacy. 1 dose without compromising efficacy. So our scientists have been studying this. We have an expert committee, as you know, and the evidence locally and overseas point towards this, and immunologists around the world also express this opinion, that it is reasonable for those two actually to be further apart from those one. So instead of 21 or 28 days or 3 days, 3 weeks or 4 weeks, which is the case currently, it can possibly extend to 6 to 8 weeks without materially impacting the efficacy of the vaccine.
On to the latest COVID-19 figures. 38 community cases were confirmed earlier today, with 13 detected when they were in quarantine. 20 cases are linked to previous cases, but 18 are currently unlinked. New Health Minister Ong Ye Kung said the increase in numbers today is partly due to the antigen rapid tests being used with PCR tests for those with acute respiratory symptoms. There were also 11 imported cases, of which 5 are returning Singaporeans or permanent residents. Now visit straitstimes.com for more details on today's press conference. You can also watch the full press conference on our YouTube channel later tonight. Remember to subscribe by hitting the red button below. I'm Haryanto Diman. Stay safe, everyone.